Rumor. Next God of War game might be a prequel. So I seen this headline and honestly, I'm a little bit torn between this because I very much enjoy the God of War games. I've played God of War and then God of War Ragnarok. I played God of War the first one. I have pretty much all five of them. So there's God of War 2, God of War 3, and then Chains of Olympus, and then I believe Ascension. So I actually own each one of those ones. I haven't beaten them though. That's the only thing on my part where I've kind of messed up. But hearing this news right here, I don't know, man. I'm like I said, I'm torn and I have my feelings about this. So we'll go ahead and check out the article that we got here, and then I'll kind of share my thoughts with it as we go along. So a reliable insider has suggested that the next God of War game may revisit the series' formative setting, Greece. While fans might expect an all new pantheon of gods in the next entry of the franchise, another Greek God of War game could do well to tie up a narrative loose end from the 2018 reboot. And I see, this is where I'm torn. I don't want them to go back in the God of War franchise, especially to Greece, because one of the things I've noticed a lot of when it comes down to either modern games, modern movies, modern TV shows, is that a lot of the times, especially when it's not the original creators of the very first iterations of that IP or that franchise, they try to go back and make some changes to the original lore. And I get it, they're trying to like tie up some loose ends like they state, but a lot of the times it's like they try to make their mark on the past instead of letting it be what it is and then kind of moving forward from that. So the fact that they're trying to go back to Greece and try to change some stuff up with it, I do not want to see that. I'd rather they go forward and move on to a different mythology at that point than trying to go back to what's already been established. So Kratos' tale of revenge in the Greek God of War trilogy is among the most iconic stories in gaming history. It culminates spectacularly in 2010's God of War 3, following which Santa Monica Studios released God of War Ascension in 2013. This prequel was the last God of War game set in Greece, with Santa Monica Studios then soft rebooting the franchise with the Norse pantheon in 2018. The Norse saga ended with 2022's God of War Ragnarok, and ever since then, fans have been aching to learn which pantheon Kratos shall grace next. And that's the thing, like I said, just leave the Greek mythology alone at this point. He's already done his thing. You know what I mean? He destroyed all the gods. Let him move forward from this point. And I know a lot of people are hoping that he's kind of going towards Egyptian mythology, and I'm right there with them. I would rather they go forward and see something with a different mythology, either Egyptian or even like some Japanese mythology, rather than trying to go back to Greek mythology. I don't want to see them go back at all personally. Most fans currently have their bets on Egypt as the next God of War game setting, but a recent rumor may indicate otherwise. Over on the Insider Gaming Weekly podcast, reputable industry insider Tom Henderson refuted the Egyptian rumor and claimed that the next God of War game will be set in Greece and feature a younger Kratos. The story will purportedly revolve around Kratos' relationship with his father, which isn't much of a hint considering the events that led up to and transpired in God of War 3. And that's, again, if they already have that information, it's like, why do you guys have to go back? I don't think this is a good idea if they decided to go this route. And maybe there are fans that'll like this. I think they should just move on. I don't want to see a younger Kratos when we already have so much lore and so much of the story of what happened based on the five games that we pretty much got. Next God of War game reportedly features young Kratos in Greece. Interestingly, Henderson couldn't confirm if this alleged game would be a new prequel to the Greek saga or might be somehow associated with the rumored remaster of the classic God of War titles for the series' 20th anniversary this year. Wires can often get crossed when it comes to reporting such rumors, so there's a chance Henderson's information may be pertaining to a remaster of a Greek God of War game as a brand new prequel. The insider did note that he wasn't fully confident in the veracity of this information, so a hefty grain of salt is in order. And I mean, hopefully it's a good, like a really hefty fucking amount of salt. Because, like I stated, if they've already got the lore for the Greeks and everything like that, just move on, man. Just keep going forward. If Santa Monica Studios does indeed decide to head back to Greece for the next God of War game, it'll likely be to tie up the still ambiguous plot thread about Kratos' reemergence in the Norseland after the end of God of War. It's hinted in God of War 2018 that Kratos simply hops on a boat and floated all the way to Midgard, but 2021's God of War Fallen God comic book teased the environment of the Egyptian pantheon during this intermediary period. Therefore, there's a fair bit of material for Santa Monica Studios to weave a compelling prequel story for Kratos that finally explains how he reached the Norse lands, but only time will tell which path the studio takes. And that's where it's a little bit weird for me, because if they did decide to do a prequel where it happens to be what happens after God of War 3, I mean, yeah, I feel like that wouldn't be so bad in that regard, especially if they did decide to kind of go into the Egyptian mythology at that point. Personally, I think would be cool is if like he kind of skims through the Egyptian mythology that you find out before he gets to the Norse mythology, and then kind of have it so that they can move forward where he's still able to kind of be Kratos the way he is that we know him now, but kind of have some stuff from the past in regards to the Egyptian mythology. So if they're gonna go that route, I don't really find it as bad as if they were gonna try to do something like before the first God of War game, or before, I believe it's Ascension, or if not Chains of Olympus, whichever one is the one before the first God of War game. If they try to do something before then, I personally I don't want them doing that. I'd rather they move forward. So either after God of War 3 or just move on after God of War Ragnarok, in my opinion. So who knows? I mean, we'll figure out some more information later on once we see what they decide to go with at that point, especially considering that again this is a rumor, so you like it stated, you have to take this with a grain of salt. So I don't know, man. Hopefully they can just move forward and kind of not go back to the Greek pantheon at that point, because I feel like that story is kind of, it's been said and done. So those are my thoughts on that. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Would you prefer that they decided to move past God of War Ragnarok, or would you want them to go past God of War 3 and kind of give us some of the information of what happened in that regard? So if you guys can let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments, if you guys could like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. If you guys have been watching this long, I really appreciate it. It means a lot. And yeah, until next time, Harmonic out. Peace.